Okay, so once you have the flow rate for the freeway, then you need to calculate the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes of the ramp. So we are calling it V12. V12 means the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes of the ramp, because we said the other lanes will be unaffected by the flow of the ramp. So if there are three lanes on the freeway, then the third extreme lane, the third one on the left, will be unaffected by the turbulence of the ramp. Okay, so this is for merge and this is for diverge. So the total freeway flow multiplied by the proportion of flow rate for the merging area. Okay, proportion of freeway vehicles expected in lane 1 and 2 of the merge area. So again the two adjacent ramps. So how much proportion of the freeway flow is expected in the two adjacent lanes, and for the diverge area we have the flow rate of the ramp, okay, plus the freeway minus the flow rate of the ramp into the proportion of the flow in the diverge area. Again diverge area meaning the two adjacent lanes 1 and 2. Okay, so obviously the flow on the ramp will be there, right? The flow on the ramp, the people who want to go off the ramp will be in the adjacent lanes, right? We're expecting them to be adjacent to the lanes, okay? To be adjacent to the ramp, okay? This is what our expectation, okay? And then the flow rate of the freeway minus whatever you have already added here, then the remaining is for the people who will go through the freeway. Okay, so once used from the total flow rate of the freeway, you have already subtracted or you have already added the people who want to go off from the ramp. Okay, so whatever is remaining, then from that remaining, how much is the proportion in the adjacent ramps, adjacent lanes? Okay, and again in both cases you are considering two adjacent lanes to have the turbulence because of the ramp. The third or the fourth lane are unaffected, as you can see here. They are saying the third or the fourth lane are unaffected by the ramp. Okay, and if it's a highway, four lane highway, then V12 will be basically VF, because there are two lanes then, right? 4 lane means what? Each direction has how many lanes?
2 lanes.
2 lanes. Okay, so there are 2 lanes and both of them are affected by the ramp. And in that case, you don't have to apply any proportion, right? Then you don't need to apply any proportion. The flow in those lanes will be the flow of the freeway. That's it. Okay, so your life will become easier if you have a 4 lane freeway. Okay. Can I have a 2 lane freeway? So we said 4 lane, you will have the flow rate of the freeway equal to the flow in the 2 lanes, the total flow. What about if I have 2 lanes? A 2 lane freeway. What will happen then?
Doctor, there is no 2-lane freeway.
Yeah, the freeway cannot be 2 lanes. Okay, so this case is not possible. Okay, so these are the same equations. I just wrote them again. Okay, so if you have 4 lane, then V12 merge or diverge will be equal to VF. Okay, and if you have 6 or 8 lanes or more than that, then you will apply these equations to calculate the proportion or the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes of the ramp. Okay, then these are the equations to calculate the proportion of traffic in the two adjacent lanes of the merge area. Okay, so these are for the merge area. Okay, so you can see the number of lanes here. So as I said, 4 lanes, then PFM will become 1. So VF will be equal to V12 merge. Okay, if you have a 6 lane, then you have 3 possible equations. Okay, if you have 8 lanes, then you have 2 possible equations. Okay, So in these equation we know this, we know this, we know this. SFR stands for the speed, okay, the speed from freeway to ramp, okay, and L up means the distance from any upstream ramp, okay, and L down means the distance from any downstream ramp, okay. Now upstream and downstream means what? Does somebody know upstream and downstream means what? When we use the word upstream or downstream, what do we mean?
Upstream is like behind the flow of the cars, and downstream is toward the flow of the cars.
Towards the flow of the car. Yeah, yeah. So L basically is the distance from any upstream or downstream ramp which you have. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so from these equations, so each equation has a number. Okay, and from these equations, which one should you use? Okay, which one should you use? So that decision comes from this table. So these tables have to be used in conjunction with each other. Okay, you have to use them together, because then you would not know which equation to be used. Okay, so if you do not have any, I'm just giving some examples. Okay, so you will use equation 5.28, this equation, if there are no upstream ramps, okay, and if there are no downstream ramps, and you are talking about an on ramp, so obviously we are talking about a merge area, right? So all ramps will be on ramps. For merge area, all ramps will be on ramps. The subject ramp for which we are doing the analysis will be on ramp. Okay. So no upstream ramp, no downstream ramp. Okay, and we are talking about on ramp, so you can use this one. If you have downstream ramp, which is an on ramp, the downstream ramp which is an on ramp, then again you can use equation 5.28. If you have a downstream ramp which is off ramp, then you will calculate the distance to that ramp, that will be d, and you will also calculate a term which is known as LEQ. So if distance d is more than or equal to LEQ, then you will use equation 5.28. If distance d, which is the distance from your ramp to the downstream ramp, is less than LEQ, then you will use equation 5.30. Now what is this LEQ? LEQ is the critical distance at which you can your freeway segment is affected by the downstream or upstream ramp. The distance up to which a downstream or upstream ramp can affect your segment, that is LEQ. Okay, so if the actual distance between the two ramps is more than or equal to LEQ, then the second ramp, downstream ramp or the upstream ramp, does not have any effect in your segment. Okay, so whenever d is more than LEQ, you can see we are going back to equation 5.28, which is the basic equation without any ramps, without any upstream or downstream ramp. We are going back to that equation, and whenever the distance is less than LEQ, then we go for the other equations. Okay, and yeah, so each time, first of all, see what type of ramps you have, upstream and downstream, and then you calculate LEQ and compare it with the distance. Okay, so if LEQ is more, no problem, you will use equation 5.28. If it is less, then you will use the other equations. Okay, as mentioned. So they have mentioned the equation numbers. So how to calculate the LEQ if you have an upstream off ramp? If you have an upstream off ramp, then this is how you calculate the equivalency distance. Okay, the critical distance. Okay, and all parameters are given here. So some of the parameters which we used in the previous tables as well. We know freeway flow, okay, flow on the ramp, flow rate on the downstream ramp. Okay, if you are doing it for a downstream ramp, then VD is the flow on the downstream ramp. LA, I think I did not explain this term earlier. LA is the length of the acceleration lane. What is an acceleration lane? So you see this, we are talking about a merge area, right? Merge area. So this is an acceleration lane. So you come up from the ramp onto the freeway, and then you have this area or this space available to you to accelerate before you merge onto the freeway. So again, the length of the acceleration lane will be measured from here till here. Okay, from here, from the goal point till this point where the lane is completely going off. Okay, so this is the acceleration lane, and then for the diverge area, there will be a deceleration lane, right? So if you are in this lane, you want to go off the ramp, you will ideally come to this area, decelerate before you go onto the ramp. Okay. Distance to the adjacent upstream ramp, I told you. Downstream ramp, I told you. SFA, the ramp free flow speed, you know. And yeah, okay. So you need these parameters basically to find out the LEQ. Okay. Now you may have a case where you have an upstream ramp as well as a downstream ramp. Okay. You have a ramp as upstream and you have a ramp downstream as well. Okay. In that case, you may end up calculating. So for example, they have given a case here. Okay, so maybe you are calculating 2 or 3 values of PFM. Okay, so in that case, you will take the one which is the higher one. Okay, if you are meeting 1 or 2 conditions from this table, okay, I think this is only for the last factor. Okay, that you have an upstream off ramp and you have a downstream off ramp as well. So they are saying you can use any of the 3 equations. So in that case, you will have 3 values, right? So in that case, you can calculate from all 3 values and will take the higher PFM. Okay, if you are in this condition, then you can take the higher PFM. It may happen. It may also happen that you have an upstream off ramp as well as an upstream on ramp as well. Okay, I think we did an example last time where they gave us 7 interchange points, and at those 7 interchange points there were 16 ramps. So at one point you may have more than 1 ramp as well. At one particular point you may have more than 1 ramp as well. Okay, so in that case you may be fulfilling a condition of having, let's say, an on-stream downstream on ramp as well as a downstream off ramp as well. Okay, so it can happen. So in that case, again, you will end up calculating 2 values or 3 values of PFM. Okay, because at one particular point, you are having an off ramp as well as an on ramp. So you will apply the condition of the on ramp as well as the off ramp. So you will have 2 values of PFM. Okay, in that case, you will take the higher one. Okay, and the third case, they have already mentioned themselves that you can use these 3 equations, all these 3 equations, and again you will take the higher value. Okay, this is if you want to find out the diverged proportion. Okay, I think this is a mistake in the book. It should be PFD, the proportion of traffic in the 2 adjacent lanes of the diverged area. Then, okay, again if you have 4 lanes, then it will be 1 because all the complete flow will be in the 2 adjacent lanes. If you have 6 or 8, then you can use these equations. Okay. So for 8 lanes, they are saying it's a constant. So again, if there are 8 lanes, then our life will become easier for the diverge area. I think there's no condition like this for the merge area, right? Okay. So for the diverge area, 4 lanes, the proportion effect is fixed. 8 lanes, the proportion is still fixed. Okay. And then, so we only have to worry about if there are 6 lanes. So then in that case, you have these 3 possible equations. I've already mentioned the parameters, right? VF, flow rate of the freeway, VR, flow rate of the ramp, L up, distance to the upstream ramp, L down, distance to the downstream ramp. Okay. And which equation to be used? Then it comes from here. Okay, now you can see here in some conditions they are also mentioning equation 5.28 as well. In this condition, subject ramp is off and you have, so 5.28, let me go back. What is that condition? Yeah, so we only need the lane length of the deceleration lane, then we can use it. Okay, so again, if 2 equations are mentioned, you will apply both of them and you will take the higher one. Okay, and this okay. There's a note here. The flow rate on the downstream ramp and the distance to that ramp, if it is less than or equal to 0.2, then we will always use equation 5.35. Okay, so whenever you have a downstream ramp, you will calculate the, so we are talking about these 2 cases now. So whenever you have a downstream ramp and the flow rate of the ramp upon the distance to the ramp is less than or equal to 0.2, then we will always use equation 5.35. So in these 2 cases, we have to use, or we have to look at this condition. So sorry, not the downstream, sorry, upstream. So this condition. Okay. So in this condition, you check, first of all, check this one. Okay, if this condition means, you don't have to calculate LEQ then, because you will always use equation 5.35. Okay, because they are saying the flow will be too less than, the flow is too low. The flow is too low to have any effect on the other ramp. Okay, and same thing here, same condition here. So whenever you have an upstream ramp, check if the flow rate on the upstream ramp and the distance to the upstream ramp is less than or equal to 0.2, then LEQ is not required for that condition. Okay, and so on and so forth. And for the equations for the LEQ, we have these equations. Then this one is for on ramp. Okay, upstream on ramp, and this one is for downstream off ramp. Okay, now you can see here, so we don't have, for example, an equation for downstream on ramp. We don't have any equation for downstream on ramp, right, for LEQ in this case. So downstream on ramp, we don't have it. Okay, so downstream is this one and this is on ramp. So this means whenever you have a downstream on ramp, you will go back to the basic equation, which is 5.35. Okay, so this is why we don't have LEQ for that. Okay, so whenever you are using the basic equation, the first equation in the table, okay, the same thing is for merge area as well. Even for the merge area, you can see upstream off ramp and downstream off ramp. So on ramp doesn't have any equation here, because whenever you have an on ramp, we go back to the equation of the basic equation 5.28. Whenever you have an on ramp, we go back to the basic equation, which is 5.28. Okay, so basically what it means here is the on ramp does not have any effect on the merge area. This is what they are saying here. If you have an upstream or downstream on ramp, then it does not have any effect on the merge area. Same thing here. So if you have an upstream off ramp, then it does not have any effect on the diverge area. If you have a downstream on ramp, then it does not have any effect on the diverge area. Okay, this is what they are saying here. And if you have both upstream and downstream ramps, they are available. So you will calculate the PFD using both conditions, and then you will take the higher value of PFD, as I said earlier. So these are quite detailed equations and parameters for calculating PFM or PFD, whatever is your case, and then you go back to putting them into this equation. Again, our aim is to find out the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes of the merge and the diverge area. Okay. Once you calculate the PFD or PFM, you go back there. Okay. Okay, then we have two conditions here. The average flow in the outer lanes. If you have 3 or 4 lanes total, then the average flow in the outer lanes should be less than or equal to 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay. These are the conditions then. So 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane. So in the third lane, or that the adjacent flow. Okay, so we are saying the flow in the adjacent two lanes should be, if this is less than or equal to, then this one will be greater than or equal to, right? This one which will be this whole term will be greater than or equal to. So the third lane should not have a flow of more than 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, and or if you have a 8-lane highway, then the remaining 2 lanes should not have a flow of more than 5400 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, if it is, then you will adjust it. If the flow in the third lane is getting more than 2700, then you will discard the value which is coming from PFM or PFD, whatever, and you will calculate it from here. Okay, so first of all, you calculate in the regular manner, like I showed you, multiply by PFM or PFD, and if the resulting flow in the third lane is 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane, or more than that, more than 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane, then you will come back to these equations. Okay, so once you calculate from there, you have to come back and check from here. Okay, and then we have another condition again for 6-lane highway. The average flow per lane in the outer lane has to be less than or equal to 1.5 times the average flow per lane in lanes 1 and 2. Okay, so if you do not follow this condition, then you will calculate the adjacent lanes, the flow rate using this. I think this should be 8-lane. This should be 8-lane. You can make the correction with you. This should be so the outer lanes, again meaning the third or the fourth lane, so has to be the flow in the outer lane, average flow per lane in the outer lane has to be less than or equal to 1.5 times the flow per lane in lanes 1 and 2. Okay, per lane flow in lanes 1 and 2. For example, what they mean here is, let's say the total flow on the freeway is, let's say, let me give you a value here. Let's say 6,000. Okay, you calculated the flow in the two adjacent lanes, and it comes out to be, let's say, 3,000. Okay, so per lane will be what? 1,500, right? Okay, so 1,500 in the adjacent lanes per lane, and obviously 6,000 minus 3,000 will give you 3,000 as well. Okay, so let's say if it's a 6-lane highway, then it will be 3,000 per lane, right? If it's a 6-lane highway, then it will be the outer lane will be just 1, so it will be 3,000 upon 1. Okay, so then you have a flow which is obviously 1,500 and 3,000. The ratio is 2 times, so it is more than 1.5 times, right? It is more than 1.5 times. So in that case, the adjusted flow will be calculated using this equation. The adjusted flow in the two adjacent lanes will be calculated using this equation. Okay, in the end, you will select a value that is fulfilling both these conditions. So if this condition is applied, then this condition is applied. Okay, and you have two values, so you will take the value which is fulfilling this condition as well as this condition, both the conditions. Okay, so for example, if you calculate from here, how much will it be? Can you give me the value? So VF will be 6,000. So 6,000 upon 1.75 will be how much?
$3,428.
3,000. Sorry, say again.
3428.
3428. I think I should check because we are okay. Okay. So this is in the two lanes. Okay, and then if you apply this condition, then what happens? So again, VF is 6,000 minus this. So 6,000 minus 2,700 will give you 3,300, right? 3,300. Right? Now, if I take 3,300, divided by 2, will give me 1650, right? 1650. So with 1650, or yeah, if I take 1650, then it will be the remaining is 2,700, right? So 2,700, 2,700 in the third lane, 1650 per lane in the other two lanes. So I think how much will it be? How much will be the ratio? 1650 and 2,700. How much is the ratio? $1,650 and 2,700. Let me do 2,700 upon 1,650. How much is the ratio?
1.64.
1.64. So you are still not fulfilling this one, right? You are still not fulfilling this one. But if you take this one, I think obviously if it's coming from here, then you are obviously satisfying this. And if I do 6,000 minus 3,428, 6,000 minus 3,428, how much will it give you? So you are saying if I do this, it will give me 1.6 something. So 6,000 minus 3,428 will give you how much? The remaining?
2,572.
2,472. Okay. So if I take
2,572.
2,472, right?
No, 2,572.
2,525. Okay, no problem. 2,572. So you see here, if I go by this approach, then my volume in the two adjacent lanes is 3,300. Then per lane will be 1,650. Okay. So if I go by this approach, take the per lane volume, and then the remaining will be obviously 2,700. So if I take the ratio, then it is still more than this condition. Okay, so if I take the value from this ratio, it will not fulfill this condition. Okay, but if I take the values from using this approach, then my adjacent lane volumes is 3,428. Okay, and then the remaining will be less than 2,700. Okay, so if I use this approach, then I'm fulfilling both conditions. Okay, so this is how you have to check. How you have to check. You will apply both the checks. Okay, and if both checks are applied, in a condition where the third lane has more than 2700 or the last two lanes have more than 5400 and their ratio is also more than 1.5 times each other, then if you are applying both the conditions, then you have to take the value from one and put it in the other to see if you are fulfilling the other condition as well. If you are not fulfilling the other condition, you do the reverse. You take it from the first condition, put it in the second condition, like I did. So first of all, I tried taking the values from this condition and check the ratio. It was not satisfying. Then I did the other way around. I took the value from this approach and put into this equation or put it into this condition. So I saw that I'm fulfilling the first condition as well. Okay, so this is how you have to check. Okay, then the capacity of the area, the merge or the diverge area. Okay, so there, again we have three checks here. Whatever capacity you will calculate, that capacity should be less than the capacity of the ramp. Okay, that capacity should be less than the freeway entering or merging, entering the merging or exiting the diverging area, meaning the freeway area which was before the merging and diverging. Okay, the basic freeway segment, the capacity of the basic freeway segment. This is what you can say. The capacity that you will calculate for the merge and diverge area should be less than the capacity of the ramp. It should be less than the capacity of the basic freeway segment of the same freeway, the segment which is without the ramp. The capacity of the merge and diverge area should be less than the capacity of that basic freeway segment. Okay, and the capacity should be less than the maximum flow rate which is entering or exiting the diverging, entering the merging or exiting the diverging. So the maximum flow rate that is expected on the in the merge or the diverge area. Okay, and the merge or the diverge area. Now the capacities are given here. Okay, the capacity of ramp for single lane ramp. So all of them are given in passenger cars per hour per lane. So depending upon the free flow speed of the ramp, okay, if it is less than 50, more than 50, then 2200, 4250, 2100 and so on. Okay, less than 20, then 1800, and this is the capacity of the freeway segment, okay, and this is the maximum desirable flow rate for the merge area and maximum desirable flow rate for the diverge area. So this is for the first condition. Okay, this is for the second condition, and these two are for the third condition, depending upon what type of area you have. And again, now these two values are not per lane. You can see here they are actually more than 4000, all of them, and you can see they are in the range of 2000 because they are per lane. These values are per lane, but these values are for the two adjacent lanes. So they are basically for two lanes. These values are for two lanes. Okay. Now, so we are saying that if you are exceeding the ramp capacity, if your flow rate V12 what you have calculated is exceeding the ramp capacity, then the level of service is F. Okay, then the level of service is F. If you are exceeding these maximum desirable flow rates, if the V12 which you have calculated previously is exceeding one of these values, obviously depending upon the type of area you have, merge or diverge, if you are exceeding one of these two values, then it will not be level of service F. It will not be level of service F, but it shows undesirable conditions. It may result in something which is unexpected. Okay, so these desirable flow rates are considered to be within the range of your analysis. if something happens beyond these values, then obviously we can still calculate the level of service and we will calculate, but the reliability of your analysis will be less. The reliability of your analysis will be less. Okay. Now the capacity adjustments, the adjustment factors which we saw for the basic freeway segment, adjustment factor for work zone, adjustment factor for incident, adjustment factor for driver population, and so on and so forth. They can also be applied to the merge and diverge area as well. But again, they are saying the factors which are given there are for basic freeway segments. Okay. Like they are saying, you must have seen these boards in the parking areas, park at your own risk, right? So this is what they are saying. These two statements are saying we have the factors, we have the procedure, but do it at your own risk. Okay, these factors and these procedures may or may not apply. Okay, so they are just giving you boundary conditions. They are giving you boundary conditions. That the factors which they gave you earlier, but for basic freeway segments, if you want to apply it, do it at your own risk. If your flow rate, the V12 which you have calculated, is more than the desirable, then again you can still proceed with the calculation, but we are not sure that your answers will be accurate. Okay, then once you have applied the checks, you can calculate the density using these equations. Okay, so we already know the parameters. Just to go through them, VR means what? What is VR?
The flow rate of the ramp.
Okay, and V12? V12 is?
The flow rate of the adjacent lanes.
Two adjacent lanes. LA is? What is LA?
Length of acceleration.
Length of acceleration lane. What is LD?
Length of the deceleration.
Deceleration lane. Okay, because for the diverge area, so it must be the deceleration lane. So according to your area, you will calculate the density, and these are the ranges for density that is defining the level of service. Okay. Now, if you want to calculate the aggregate speeds and densities, okay, meaning the speed and densities in the complete segment. Okay, so we have the speed for the ramp influence area. Ramp influence area means the two adjacent lanes, and then we have the speed for the outer lanes. Okay, so VOA means the average flow rate in the outer lanes. Okay, the average flow rate in the outer lanes. So this is how you calculate the VOA. Okay, so VF minus V12. V12 is the two adjacent lanes. VF means the total flow of the freeway divided by N0. N0 is the number of outer lanes. So outer lanes means what? Outer lanes is the third of whatever additional lanes you have more than two. Okay, whatever additional lanes you have more than two. Okay, FFS, free flow speed, right? MS is calculated here. SAF is speed adjustment factor. Speed adjustment factors. So again, you go back to the discussion of basic freeway segment, and you can calculate the or you can find out the speed adjustment factors. Okay, so speed adjustment factors will remain the same that we have seen for the the basic freeway segment. Okay, so SAF in all these conditions means the speed adjustment factor. Okay, so we have the average speed in the ramp influence area, and we have the average speed in the outer lane. Okay, and we have the speed in the ramp again for the diverge segment, the speed in the ramp influence area, and the speed in the outer lane of the ramp area. Okay, so in each case you will calculate the speed and you will calculate the flow rate. You already know V12, which is for the ramp influence area, and then you will find out SR from here. Okay, and the density will be V upon S. Okay, and for the outer lane, again you will find out the speed from here, and the flow rate will be VOA, and then you will do, V upon S. Okay. Now, if you are doing it for the influence area, we have calculated V12. For the influence area, we have calculated V12, which is the flow in the two lanes. So you have to convert it to per lane. Okay. So if you are using this equation to find out the density for the two lanes, the two adjacent lanes, then you will take V12 and divide by 2, because V12 is for two lanes. So you will take V12 divide by 2. Okay, so then you will get the per lane flow rate, and then you will divide per lane flow rate with S. Okay, so for calculating density, we always use flow rate per lane. For calculating density, we always use flow rate per lane. Okay, so VOA is already flow rate per lane, but if you are using it for V12, then you will calculate, first of all you will divide by 2 to calculate per lane, and then you will divide by speed. So once you have the speed for the influence area and for the outer lanes, then you will use it in these equations to calculate the average speed. Okay, again, I think the first one is for the merge area, and the second one is for the diverge area. Okay, the first one is for the merge area. Sorry, I did not write it. So the first one is for the merge area, and the second one is for the diverge area. So calculate the speeds from here, then you can, all the parameters are given here. I think I told you as well. Yeah. So you take the speeds from here. These will be the speed for the whole segment, and then you divide by the average per lane flow rate of the freeway. Average per lane flow rate of the freeway. So this one will be again VF divided by the complete number of lanes, and S will be the S from here. Okay. Then you calculate density, and again the ranges of densities are these. Okay, now let me summarize. It must have been confusing, so tomorrow inshallah we will do an example, and hopefully that will clarify many things. So what we have done today, first of all, we calculated the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes of the ramp. If there are only two lanes on one direction, then this will be the total flow of the freeway, no problem. If it is not, then you will calculate PFM or PFD depending on merge or diverge area, and you will find out the flow rate in the two adjacent lanes. Okay. After that, there were checks. Okay, that this flow rate should be less than the capacity of the ramp. This flow rate should be less than the capacity of the basic freeway segment. This flow rate should be less than the desirable flow rates in the two adjacent lanes of the ramp. Okay, and then there were checks as well for that the flow rate in the outer lane should not be more than 2700 passenger cars per hour per lane, and the ratio of the outer lane and the adjacent lane should be less than or equal to 1.5 times. If it is not, then you will adjust them. After you do all the adjustments, you apply the capacity check, you will come for the calculation of density for the merge or the diverge area. Okay, so this is how you calculate the density of the merge or the diverge area. Okay, but this is density and level of service only for the influence area, the two adjacent lanes. Now I want to calculate the density and the level of service for the entire freeway segment. If it is 4 lanes or 8 lanes, in that case, what should I do? Then I will come back here. I will come to this table. If it is merge area, I will calculate the speed of the merge area and the outer lanes using these equations. Okay. If it's a diverge area, I will use these equations. Okay. Then so you will get SR and S naught from here. You will come to these two equations. If it is a merge area, find out the average speed from here. If it is a diverge area, find out the average speed from here. Then you will calculate density. First of all, take the total freeway flow, divide by number of lanes to calculate flow per lane. Okay, divide by S, which will come from the equations. So you get the density, and then again, if you have the density, check the values from here. Okay, so there are two types of densities. You can calculate the density for the adjacent two lanes, and you can also calculate the density for the entire freeway segment if you have 6 or 8 lanes freeway. Okay, so tomorrow, as I said, we will do some we'll do an example, inshallah, and try to clarify more things there. Okay.